Well, today is really an opportunity for you to come together and share your experiences of MyVoice so far. I mean, capturing your learning journey is really important for us so that we can kind of share that knowledge with lots of other young people too. And you'll see there's cameras about, and it's important that we share what we discussed today with the other writer mentors that couldn't be here. So what we thought we could do is Nikki's just going to give us a brief update on the project, where we are, and then maybe we could, after that, go into a discussion about your role as a mentor and how the first mentoring sessions went. It'd be great to get some feedback. So over to you, Nikki.
Okay, well, I'm pleased to say that all of the young people have had at least one session with their mentors, and I've been able to attend all of them apart from the Leicester and one of the Luton sessions. I think the young people have just been totally blown away by the fact that they've got somebody who's working with them dedicated one-to-one. They've all got some fantastic ideas. The libraries on board have been absolutely brilliant in terms of supporting the young people and hosting the events. We're at the stage where all of the young people have joined group things, so they've uploaded samples of their writing onto groupthink for their mentors to have a look. And I know we're going to probably talk about groupthink later on, but there's been a couple of issues with some of our writers accessing and viewing and stuff, so we can sort that out later. We're at a stage where the young people have decided what themes they would like to work on and what work they're going to submit hopefully on the 1st of Feb. And I think what we're also working on is there are also author sessions in late January, early Feb, so we're just working through the themes and the format of those. And that's kind of dialogue between the writers, the young people and the library mentors. So that's where we are at the moment.
Great, thanks very much. So on to the mentoring sessions. I mean, it'd be really good if we could just go around the table, around the writers, and just capture some of your first impressions of your mentee. So Kesra, your mentee is Kerry, who's based in Bradford. Tell us what you thought of Kerry and how your first session went.
It was excellent in every way, as Nikki will tell you. Excellent in the sense I was so impressed by my mentee. The sort of a background, the sort of things she had done in such a short time. We were sent mentee's background detail, who she's working with, what she's done, and it was amazing. And our impression of her as a young woman that we met was very, very positive. And we got to talk to her, found out what sort of things she had done from the age of primary school to her teenage years, to the sort of project she's doing, and then what she might want to do, and then we sort of narrowed it down to what was practical to do. And we came up with an idea that it would be a short story, and she was particularly keen on working on issues to do with women's issues, the image of women, etc. And that sort of resonated well with her, and then we discussed how we take it forward. And we had a good meeting, very good meeting. It was a pleasure talking to her. I was delighted, let's put it that way. Really delighted with this young woman, aspiring writer with a lot of potential. She also brought a sample of her writing, bits and bobs, and I was impressed by a quick glance at it at that moment. I was impressed with what she had produced.
Really? How did you get on?
Well, I really liked my mentee. I mean, I'm just very impressed by her maturity as well. 17 years old, and just gone through an awful lot in her life. I mean, came over when she was about 6, lost her father, came over as a refugee, lives in Luton. It's all about education, getting herself a better life, working her way out of it, doing the best she can. So doesn't necessarily want to be a writer. She knows what she wants to do, to be a radiographer, or she's looking into radiography, but just appreciates what a fantastic opportunity this is. And what I liked about it was she likes writing, but in a similar style to me, so using events of her life, but to just get the emotion across, but maybe fictionalising it. So it's not just a straight narrative of this is what's happened and blah blah blah, but just using all that emotion. So I thought it was a perfect match.
Okay. Yeah, my mentee had kind of applied at the last minute, and she'd been encouraged by her teacher from school. So this is kind of a real big boost for her, great fillip. She kind of was overwhelmed by the idea of being a kind of winner, and she's kind of really kind of boosted by that, isn't she? She won something, but completely out of the blue. And in terms of background, I talked about background before. She'd come from, she was one of many siblings at home, So I think this is kind of really good for her to get this kind of personal attention. It's going to be really good for her. Emotionally, psychologically, I think it's really good for her. And also, she sounds like a student who stopped reading. She hadn't been reading books for a while. And this seems to have really inspired her, just winning in this project, to start reading again. And she's really kind of enthusiastic about picking up books. And the librarian at Blackburn is fantastic, sort of sorting out books with her. And I encouraged her with 1 or 2 different types of books. She's not sure which way she wants to go, whether to write poetry or prose. She's doing a bit of both. She's doing sort of performance type poetry at the moment, and short story writing. So in the session we decided it's best for her just to try whatever she wants really. So I was encouraging her to read some books and make some observations about different features of the language and some of the characterisation and maybe something about the styles, just as a way of really engaging her into thinking about her own writing, whether she prefers actually poetry or short story or novel writing. So we kind of left it at that stage. She did show me some material, and she's at that stage where she writes a first draft and that's it. So I was kind of very gently trying to encourage an editing process and trying to think about how we could edit. And that's something we need to work on. I have to be very careful with that, because it could really discourage her from continuing to write, because she thinks the writing's about then rewriting. That can seem quite scary, because you have to kind of dismantle those notions of writing as just something inspired and written, that's it, and move it to a different world. It's quite tricky. You have to be really careful, don't you think? So, but I mean, she did upload a short story, and I kind of gave quite a lot of comments about that, and she seemed very positive about the comments. She sort of replied with some feedback, and she's going to give me a massive chunk, hopefully soon, isn't she?
She wants to work on a novel now. So
yeah.
All about gun crime.
Yeah, I mean, I think she's the youngest out of all the, and I think she's just 14. So I didn't really have any. I don't know any 14-year-olds anymore, so I don't really know what they think about or what they are interested in. Anyway, she turned up and she looked a bit bemused, I thought, by the whole situation, because she's not interested in writing. It was something that she was doing. She hadn't really thought about submitting a piece of work. She didn't really read much. She wanted to be a scientist. And then she showed me her work, and I thought it was absolutely brilliant. I thought it was really good. And I think she was, I mean, her father was there in the background hovering about. He dropped her off, okay. And she'd never thought about writing. This was just something. And she wore a headscarf, so she came in, and and so I had my kind of ideas. I suddenly had preconceived ideas that her father's out there and whatever, and she wants to be a doctor. And then I was going to ask her a bit more about her background, but we immediately started talking about sort of what would you got any ideas or whatever, and she had this fantastic idea which I thought was absolutely brilliant. Then we spent the next hour and a half just completely talking about this idea, and it was basically, she lives in Leytonstone, which is sort of near the Olympics stadium, and she wanted to she'd been watching the last Olympics, and there was a Muslim woman with a headscarf who was doing a running or was one of the athletes, and she was fascinated by this sportswoman, and she wanted to write about being that woman or a Muslim athlete about to take part in the Olympics. And it just happened the librarian had a contact someone who works in the Olympic Village or something, and said, look, maybe we can take her in and show her. So we got really into this idea, like what this sports person would be wearing. Would she be wearing kind of trainers? I mean, kind of sweatpants, or would she have to cover herself up and all that kind of stuff? And I think she got really inspired halfway through. She was just suddenly got really excited about writing. We all got really excited.
She was really nervous to begin with, because I think for all the young people involved, it was probably a little bit intimidating for them. There's three adults that they've never met before.
Yeah.
All the young people, apart from one, I think the ones that I've kind of met, kind of came on their own. So for them, it's probably a bit much. 3 people they've never met, and they're talking about something personal. So initially, Simon was incredibly shy, but by the end of the session, she was really relaxed.
Yeah.
She had a good idea in her head what she wanted to do, and she was having fun, and it was really good to see that.
Yeah.